We're out here in Alberta's Bow River with David Blair and Terry Johnson of Fishtails Fly Shop in the south end of Calgary. And we just want to talk to you about fighting good fish on a big river, what to do to respect the fish, get it in as quick as possible while still trusting your gear and equipment, and have a good time while you handle some big fish.
Technically, it's a size 18. It's a new Daiichi hook in the size 18.
On that
in the jig hook, yeah. And then this is like it's an unusual dry fly hook, wide gap dry fly hook. So yeah, they're a little different.
And no worries about bending out.
Well, no, I haven't had anything on the dry, but
the nymph hook.
But the nymph hook again, they're like, that's a heavy duty. Technically, I would say that it's closer to a 16, but it comes as an 18. So, but yeah, heavy hook and no problem bending it out.
The first thing we needed was to hook into a big trout. The fish were active as late spring hatches of stoneflies and mayflies had begun, and it was the first good day that caddis were hatching. Trout were moving and coming shallow, so we targeted a bank ripe with structure and seams so we could use a dry dropper setup in search of a 2-foot trout to demonstrate how to fight a good fish on small flies. Being the Bow River, a good fish is always close at hand.
So we were very close. Like, I didn't have more than 4 or 5 feet of fly line out, and I saw the caddis disappear, and it seems to be a reasonable fish. But when you're fighting a fish, you can put some bend in your rod so that you're actually putting some pressure on them. But when they want to go like that, you just have to let them go, and ideally you're going to get on the reel here. So he is now heading for the middle of the river. So now we're on the reel, and I don't have the drag set very tightly at all, because this literally is on a size 18 dropper nymph. It's closer to a size 16 in reality, but with 4X tippet and this size and a rod that can actually put some bend in it, you can put some leader. The leader's already in.
We're just going to try and keep them in this softer water. A lot easier to land them in this
we don't let them get into the heavy current. Came very nicely, like a trained puppy. Came back into the soft water, but he knows better. So he's going to head back out to the current. So I'm now not keeping the rod straight. I'm putting side pressure on him so that he has to work harder against that. So I am pulling him on an angle downstream, and then when he turns down, I can turn and go the other way, so that I can lead him sort of where I want to, or her, and pull into this quiet current. And again, this is 4X tippet, and you can put the heater on this reasonable.
And sometimes you have to lift the anchor in.
Drift with. Whoa!
Yep, I know.
Okay.
We're going to go with this one.
I knew this was
That might be a droll understatement there, Terry.
Yeah.
So you were putting the guns to that fish, Dave.
Yeah,
like you were literally putting the guns to
like
that.
this is 4X tippet, and you can put the reasonable boots to them, but keep that rod bent so that you can get right into the net. There we go. Yeah, so we had 3X tippet to the dry, and then 4X tippet to the dropper. And because they're on good quality hooks, you can put that level of pressure on them and not A, have to worry about the tippet breaking, and B, having to worry about the hook bending out. Whereas in some cases that can happen for sure. But I'm pretty confident in these hooks, and once you get confidence in a hook, then you know that you can put the heat to them and things will usually work out. You may lose the odd one with a little extra pressure, but we're going to let them go anyway, so that's better for the fish to lose them than fight them for too long, for sure.
And in my opinion, it's always better to go with a little heavier tippet, especially whether it's streamer fishing or nymphing. You can get them in so much faster with that stronger tipper. You have more confidence in them. You might bend out the odd hook or two, but being able to bring them in a lot quicker and land them a lot faster has way more advantages than fighting a fish for 10 minutes on real light tippet.
This is really about the fish, and the faster we can get them back in the water and everything, the much better for them, and they get to play with us again in another day for sure. Yeah, if that fish had kept going out to the middle of the river, we would not have had the luxury to come into this nice backwater. We would have then ended up down in the faster water, and it would have.
But you have the
been
advantage
much.
of knowing how to fight a fish. You know, some people that haven't fought a lot of fish, you know, they don't know how much pressure they can put on those fish, so they just let them run and take off, and they're fighting the fish for, you know, 10 minutes. It doesn't do the fish any favor. You know, the quicker you can get them in.
Yeah, that was like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes at the most.
You should probably go back and look, but yeah, you knew how much pressure you could put on them.
Yeah.
You know, we had them up there a little farther, and once we got a good look at the size of them, I pulled anchor and we slid down a little more into this softer water just so it'd be a little easier to land them. It's always easier going with the fish and landing them from the boat than it is trying to anchor, because he's got the current to help him out, so it's always easier.
Yeah, it's way
going
harder
with
to bring the
boat.
fish
Yeah.
back to the boat against the current, for sure.
It's way easier to fight that fish from the side of the boat. You can put side pressure on him. Once he gets down in front of the boat, you know, you're fighting the current and the fish. So if you can row down onto the fish, get some beside him, even above him, if he's going up, you can pull him down. But you see too many anglers, or a lot of anglers on the bank, they'll just stand in one spot and the fish is going downstream and they're just counting on their backing. But if they go downstream, try and get beside the fish, they can get him in way quicker by putting side pressure on him beside the fish and not above the fish. Even downstream is better than letting them go downstream.
As a bank angler, when you hook a bigger fish, don't plant your feet.
Yeah,
You have to move. You have to actually chase that fish downstream so that you can.
If it's a bigger
pressure.
fish, yeah.
If it's a big
obviously.
one. If it's a smaller one, no big deal. But yeah, you do need to go down the bank as long as you can. If there's a spot that you can't go, then that's c'est la vie. But if you can chase the fish down, then it's much, much, much better for the fish, for sure.
Get beside them and yeah, fight them.
The one commonality between us is our lifelong observation of anglers simply not putting enough side pressure on the fish and then steering or directing it into calmer water. This breaks the fish's advantage of using its oversized river fins in current. It's typically at that point that the fish is more willing to be raised through the water column, and once it's on the surface, it's much easier to direct into an awaiting net.